Kia ora, good morning. I'm just making a note of a movie idea that I had. Hang on. Sorry. I'm sitting here with a bowl full of cereal and fruit salad and coffee, and I've been up for a little while, but sorry, hang on. I've got a movie idea that I've been sitting on. I've been thinking about it for a while, but my son actually kind of inspired it. Well, firstly, he's inspired me to kind of create something based on my kind of little, Save My Soul, my game show where Satan has 3 contestants every week and they have to play a game in order to not go to hell. He gave me an idea kind of based off that, but that's not what this is about, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Because then I thought, well, I've got my version of Harry Potter. I've got my version of Doctor Who. I've got my version of a lot of things. And another popular movie, which again, like Harry Potter, I've never seen one, is Twilight. And all I know is that a girl has to choose between being in love with a wolf and a vampire. And like the wolves don't get on with the vampires, and that's pretty much all I know. And there's a lot of moody. But I've got a vampire movie, I've got a werewolf movie, I've got a Gorgon movie, I've got a mummy movie, I've got my serial killer, I've got my poisonous frog, but I don't want to do like vampires having a problem with wolves or anything, because it's kind of done now. I've got my Igor stuff going on, like I've got a lot of things covered. But then I thought, well, based on the idea that my son had, and based on what I've written in Unorthodox and with the Dear Satan cause and Save My Soul, my game show, and I don't know with Save My Soul whether I'm going to make it like a whole game show or just make it like a little snippet as part of a bigger, like Robot Chicken. I like the idea of doing like a Robot Chicken, but adding like not previews or snippets of shows, how I was going to do the show with Theo Lazarus and Joseph B. Foote, the Yeti, and they're going to go around like investigating myths and legends and, unsolved mysteries and all that sort of thing. Taking like little snippets and turning it into like a Robot Chicken, but snippets of shows from the station. And my son's one would come into that if he wanted to get involved or was okay with me using the idea, because he offered the idea when he saw that they had taken the Dear Satan cause, and he goes, I've got an idea for the movie. And when I told him what the movie was about, he was like, well, I said, but his idea is brilliant. So I'm thinking like I could take his idea and blend that with the Theo Lazarus, Joseph B. Foote one show, and the Save My Souls in that, and turn them into like little like couple of minute sketches to stitch together to make one show that would be like Robot Chicken, but it's comedy, and it would be sort of like late night, and the sort of thing that you'd watch after you'd been down the pub and had a few, and then you were sort of like eating your takeout on the couch or in bed and they're a little bit drunk watching our version of Robot Chicken, but where it's a little bit not dark in some places, just like Robot Chicken, if you know what Robot Chicken's like. But anyway, so I've been sitting on it for ages, but I just haven't done anything about it because I wasn't sure where I was going to go with it, because I have these ideas and then I just keep them as files in the back of my head. But because now I'm pushing to get this done, like I'm ready to get this done, I'm ready to start doing it. I've got to start getting my butt into gear and getting these ideas down so that, you know, when I'm making presentations or when I'm interviewing people for jobs, because I'm going to be employing a lot of people, we're ready to go. One of the first things I need to do, like I keep saying, is I need to get my IT company started, because they're the ones who are going to build my server. And then my game show, my games company and TV production company will be next. And why my movie company as well, like the other companies after that, because then they can start making stuff in the background while I'm looking for a place to build. And then, you know, getting contractors in and an architect and a landscaper and all that, and figuring out how we're going to do it and all that sort of thing. It gives me time while they're doing stuff in the background to look for a location and then start scouting for talent and, you know, doing my auditions around America and all that sort of thing. But then once I've got all the talent in place, everything's going to be built, and then we can just like start doing it. So I'm sitting here thinking, based on everything I've been thinking, and I thought, instead of like Twilight being about wolves and werewolves and vampires, how about I make it about devils and demons? And like how, kind of like the Eagle system with the mad scientist, you know, but like a demon being fed up with the fact that they're considered lower than devils, even though technically demons do most of the work. Demons are the ones that do the work. I mean, they are the devil's minions, and they do most of the work. And they you know, even though devils don't necessarily keep demons or anything like that, like a mad scientist would with an Igor, there's always this belief that, you know, you've got your demons are lower, your devils who tempt, and the demons are the ones who put the temptations in place, which, you know, we could bring in like incubus and succubus and all sorts of things like Abizu and, you know, all of that, although I kind of think I'd like to make devils and demons up from scratch. I love pushing myself to come up with things that don't exist, because I'm also aware of the fact that because people listen to everything I say, I don't want people worshipping things that I put in the movies. You know, like with Unorthodox, I came up with you know, the Manini and the Netchestire and all that. They're all just made up out of my head. They're not real. And so, because I have to be aware of the fact that people do try to copy everything I do. And if they think that, oh, well, I'm going to take her demon or her devil that's based on Greek this or Iranian this or Māori this, then I can be its servant and, you know, step into that whole dissension psychosis bollocks, and then I couldn't have that on my conscience. But if I make it all up, then anyone who tries to worship it or make offerings to it, and that it only comes back on them because it's not real. It's all made up, like Slender Man and all that. So I thought it could be like a thing of like, because my rudimentary understanding of Twilight is, wasn't the werewolves a bit pissed off that the vampires were a bit more popular or something? I don't know, I've never seen it. But what I was thinking was the demons could be like a Greek demon or a mighty demon or a, I mean, I'm going to be in America, so like something based on the Wendigo or something has a problem with the devil's getting all the glory, or getting all the, being revered and all that, more than they are feared like demons are. People worship devils, but they're afraid of demons, right? So then there being like a, not necessarily a war, but like where they start, like a gangland, East Coast, West Coast thing, but demons and devils. Something like that. But I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, they answer to Satan anyway. Basically, devils are the ones who offer you the contract. If you worship me, I'll give you this, this, and this. But the demons are the ones that come after you when it's time to collect. The demons are the ones that do all the work. They're the ones that put the fear of God into you by making things happen in your life to teach you a lesson that you messed up real bad. But the devil is the one that puts that temptation. He's like Satan's lawyer, and the demons would be like Satan's bounty hunters. When it's time to collect, because you haven't paid your, what do you call it, your bond, when you haven't paid your, when you get out on bond, when you haven't paid the bounty, the demon comes after you, but you signed the contract with the devil. So the demons would be like, man, why do we do all the work? I don't know whether I don't think I want to make it a comedy, but I don't necessarily want to make it a horror, because from my understanding of Twilight, they're not a horror-y. should call it that. That's a new one, a horror-y. They're not. It's not a comedy or a horror. It's more like a romantic thriller. Is it? I don't know if they use CGI in it, but I can't see me using CGI in it, other than, well, not, I was going to say, other than like if they have to fly, because demons fly, devils don't. Some demons fly. They always think that dragons are demons. People always mistake dragons for being demons, and they're absolutely not. Dragons are like gods. But you have gods, you have like devil gods. So you have demons, devils, and gods of the underworld, of hell, right? Just like you have angels, archangels, and God. You have messiahs on both sides. And then you have demigods, which are gods who usually have like a mortal parent, like Maui. So that's what I've got so far. At most, we just need harnesses, and I want to rely on costumes and makeup and special effects, but not necessarily involving green screens or anything like that. But I would if I had to. But yeah, there being this sort of war where the demons are fed up of doing all the work and the devils get the glory. I just need to, what I do want to do is have it involving teenagers, obviously, because then my kids get to have great roles in the acting. But because of the fact that a lot of the work that I do and have done in the past is teaching kids and teenagers why you don't mess with this stuff. And, you know, Ouija boards and seances and that, and why you don't mess with it. Because it's not the dead you're talking to. You're opening the portal to the demons that plague your mind and your ancestors that you won't even know are there until you open up that door. And so, you know, kind of having it involving kids and then maybe the devils and the demons fighting over who's going to get the souls of the kids and, you know, how they have to be saved. And, I mean, that's kind of what I've got so far. Because the thing is, if you're pure and innocent as a child and you're considered pretty much a child under the age of about 22, when you die you go to heaven unless you sin or sell your soul. And if in the movie, if these kids are like doing stupid things and worshipping devils and that to get something, they're selling their soul. So it's kind of like the devils and demons are fighting over who gets to claim these kids' souls. Because they love it when the person who signed the contract doesn't live up to their end of the bargain. They love collecting because they love nothing more than pleasing Satan. Because it's basically removing the unclean and sinful and impure from humanity. So they're doing God's work, but the dark side of God's work. But you don't mess around with them, because if they take your soul, it can take you lifetimes to come back, depending on what you did to sell your soul to the devil when he offers you the contract. And for teenagers and that mess around with devil worshipping, if they died, they get put in purgatory. And if they take a life, in order to do it, be it animal, mineral or vegetable, you know, they'll go down to the dark house. Because it's kind of like, well, you should know better. So it could teach all about that. I don't have a name for it yet. I've kind of been mulling over names, but that's another. Because I'm in America, I was thinking I'd love to work with American history in regards to maybe creating something that was First Nations, or some sort of devil or demon that was is centered around slavery and the pilgrims and the pioneers, and, you know, coming up with all sorts of, it gives me the opportunity to get really creative. I love that sort of thing. So, yeah, so that's another movie. I've just planted that seed, so we'll see where it grows. yeah, the name has to be everything. The name's got to be something. But anyway, so that's what I've got. And, you know, great acting opportunities for African Americans and Indigenous people again, because I always vowed when I got out of here with my lawsuit money in my bag, I was going to do good things with it to promote Indigeneity. And going to America, if I am destined to go to America, then I'm going to be able to do great work with Indigenous actors and musicians and artists and teachers and storytellers and writers and, you know, singers and all that, as well as like African American, obviously, and of course white and Jewish and Arab and all of them. But because I'm Indigenous and my injustice was born from being targeted for racism, because I'm Indigenous, this means a lot to me. It would be poetic justice for me. But of course, I want to work with everyone. We're colourblind at my school. I will support anyone who's good at their craft, but for me, it's personal to be able to promote Indigeneity. And I'm not just going to be working with Mesoamericans. I want to be able to collaborate with Aborigines and Māoris and Polynesians and that as well. Indigenous Icelanders and, you know, Indigenous Russians and Indigenous, I was going to say British, but that would be the Welsh, Irish, and, you know what I mean. All the first footers. Because we know a lot. And we're not given the respect we deserve for the things that we know. But my lawsuit will fund the knowledge and expose incredible Indigenous talent. So, yeah. So I need to come up with a name for it, but I'll let you know. I am thinking about it, but I'll let you know. Okay? Okay. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite.